Hello students, I am Dr. Shrikant Bause, Assistant Professor at Department of Advanced Management Studies, GS College of Commerce, Wardha. Today we are going to study our concluding topic, that is risk management practices in India. In any country, the risk management is extremely important because you never know that which risk will attack you tomorrow. According to the Kautilya's Arthashastra, who is considered as the pioneer of economics in India and the world, is there are two types of risk. It is very well said that these risks are of two types. First one is the act of God. These acts you cannot predict, you cannot ascertain, and you never know that when these acts will happen. And the second type of risk, according to him, is man-made risk. Both these risks include different types. When we are talking about acts of God, just take an example of earthquake. No one, exactly no one can predict that when earthquake will come. Whenever an earthquake of more than 7 or 8 Richter scale attacks any urban area which is crowded, any metro city, it leads to huge mortality and disabilities. In order to manage the risk like earthquake, right now in India, all the big infrastructures, major infrastructures are made earthquake proof. The material used is earthquake proof and the infrastructure is specially designed with the help of structural engineers. In this way, this risk is reduced, but we cannot say that the risk of earthquake can be completely eliminated, because even a single storied building may also lead to fatality if earthquake is of great scale. The second type of risk is flood. In India, there are certain states which are prone to flood every year, like Assam, Orissa, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar. The river Ganges, Brahmaputra, take huge shape because of continuous floods in these regions. Whenever this flood attacks, at that time the local population has to face great problems. It also leads to mortality and fatality. The third type of risk is fire. This fire may be man-made or can also be an act of God. If fire is in forest, it leads to huge mass destruction of animal as well as plants. The third type of acts of God is tsunami. Whenever tsunami attacks any coastal area, this year we have seen in the district of Raigad, Maharashtra, there was a huge windfall and huge rainfall coupled with the great forces of air. It leads to destruction as well as fatality. Then epidemics, COVID-19, that is corona, which we are witnessing right now have affected not only India but also complete globe. So all these are the acts of God. These are the risks. You never know what will happen tomorrow, or we can say you never know what will happen in the next minute. So these are the all risks. Sometimes these risks can be managed, but these risks cannot be completely eliminated because these risks are the acts of God. The second type of risk are man-made risks. These risks are not acts of God, these are man-made risks. These risks are arised due to either negligence or purposeful act of people. These risks are frauds. Whenever any fraud happens in banking system, financial system, any scam happens in stock market, it leads to risk. It leads to free fall of stock markets. It leads to bankruptcy of companies. It leads to losses to the investors and creditors. Next type is of corruption. When we are talking about corruption, corruption leads to poor quality projects and poor lending. Because of corruption, some group of people becomes extremely rich and some class of people become extremely poor. The anarchy between haves and have-nots increases like anything. This is also kind of risk. Next one, which we are facing from last 2 to 3 decades, is terrorism. The terrorist attacks on India in different states at different places is also kind of risk. And then the war arising out of terrorism, the wars arising because of the trades are also great risk to the Indian economy. But these risks can be controlled by the different means, that is frauds and scams can be completely eliminated by using 24/7 surveillance, by use of compliances, by using the authorities like CBI, Enforcement Directorate, that is ED. The corruption can be controlled by the active use of Anti-Corruption Bureau, by trapping them and by tracing them. Terrorism and war is majorly controlled by anti-terrorist squads, and war-like situations are controlled by the Home Ministry, the Prime Minister offices and high-level management committee of Government of India. Then let's talk about risk in different sector. These were the broad aspects of risk. Now we will talk about the specific risk in different sectors. Agriculture sector. India is an agricultural based economy. More than 80% of people are relying over agriculture sector for their food and shelter. When we are talking about agriculture, this sector is prone to flood, it is prone to drought, it is prone to the attacks of insects and pests. So when these floods are attacking continuously, the government of India in last 65 to 70 years came up with the construction of dams. It has adopted the irrigation system, that if the region is prone to flood, the dams on these rivers will minimize the risk of flood. Then, because of the irrigation system, the drought-like situations are completely monitored and handled by the proper dams, canals and its chain. By using the insecticides and pesticides widely, the risk of insects and pests over the crop can be controlled. In the banking system, the bank frauds, the corruption by higher officials, the differences in interest rates, and the technological problems are the risk. All these are monitored and can be reduced by using a great compliance system and surveillance system. Technology sector and the technology is one of the greatest risks. How? Because technology keeps changing. Any company which is not adopting itself with respect to the technology is prone to become bankrupt over a period of time, or it will become outdated, as people always tend to buy new products. They don't want the old technological products. So technological upgradation is one of the risks. Then security. Today, most of the transactions are done by the internet banking, mobile banking, UPI, etc. But there are also frauds and scams associated with it. Competition. If your company is providing great quality products today, and if tomorrow a competitor is providing the same quality product at lesser price, you are prone to the competition risk. Then aviation and transport, accidents, even the epidemics leads to losses to the aviation and transport sector. Theft and hijacking of aeroplanes, increasing fuel prices, all these are the risks to the aviation and transport sector. Then the pharma. People used to say that pharma is a conservative sector, it is a defensive sector, but emergence of new drugs, the old drugs will be out of the market. Then compliance. If you are not following the compliance of Indian Food and Drug Administration or US FDA, at that time your plants are going to get the red alert. Then competition. There is a huge competition in pharma companies for providing great drugs at less price. Consumer durables. When we are talking about mobile phones, TV, fridge, washing machine, each and every day the technology is changing like anything, and this technology leads to disruptiveness. A decade ago, a mobile phone of Nokia and BlackBerry were considered to be the identity of great, rich, affluent people. But today, Nokia and BlackBerry are nowhere. Why? Because of the disruptive technology, because of the technology of Android phones and iPhones. The whole market is captured by different companies like Samsung, Oppo, Vivo, Apple, etc. So this is disruptive technology, which is also a risk and threat to the consumer durables. Pricing. The prices of TV, fridge, washing machine keeps changing with respect to advanced technology. The TV which you are purchasing today is if of 60,000 K. At that time, after 2 or 3 years, you will get the same technology TV in just 20 or 30,000. So there is a pricing war, and competition is like anything. So these are the risks to the different sectors, and this can be managed by adopting latest technology, changing yourself continuously, surveillance, monitoring, compliances and investigations, etc. Then how to manage these risks and how these risks are managed in India. These risks are managed by great companies by avoiding debt. If you will talk about the companies which are surviving from last 50 or 60 years, you will find that these companies are debt free. So avoiding debt and being less aggressive is always good. Then avoiding excessive leveraging. You will find in last 1 or 2 decades that there were some great companies which fought only because of excessive leveraging and excessive aggressive strategies. You take an example of Suzlon, you take an example of Reliance ADAG group, these fall prey to excessive leveraging. Then, conservative sustainable approach. When we are talking about great companies, we cannot forget the contribution of Tatas. Tatas are having more than 30 great enterprises, and these are having conservative sustainable approach. These companies are not extremely aggressive. These are having conservative approach, and slow and steady win the race is the mantra for their success. So Tatas are having a legacy of more than 125 years on the basis of only conservative sustainable approach. Then in India, risk is mostly managed by using the insurance. It may be personal insurance, which can be bought by individuals, then group insurance, which is provided by the companies and enterprises, and then the general insurance for completely covering your businesses. Reinsurance. There are also reinsurance companies which give insurance to insurance companies and to the banks. As banks are exposed to great risk, they also go for the reinsurance. Then the stock market risk management. When we are talking about our subject financial derivatives, the stock market risk management is extremely important. Hedging is a technique in which by taking exactly opposite trade, you can minimize your risk. Then clearing and settlement. The clearing and settlement cycle is reduced to only T+1. That is, if you are trading today, it will get settled tomorrow. And if you are doing a intraday trading, at that time the trades will be settled on the same day. We are having a margining system. You can open your position which will be limited to the margin paid by you. If you are opening a position of 1 lakh rupees by paying 10,000 rupees, if your margin hits, it means that if you are making a loss of 10,000 rupees, that 10,000 rupees will be deducted from your account and will go to the person who is making profit in that trade, and your position will be square off. So this is called as the margining system. Next one is the daily settlement. In the stock market, we are having daily settlement of M to M, that is mark to market. If today you are making profit, the amount will be credited to your account. If you are making loss, the amount will be debited from your account. Then KYC, know your customer. This is a very great approach by which the money laundering can be completely eliminated. Today, terrorists cannot enter into the stock markets or in banks to convert their black money into white one. Then all the bank accounts are now linked with the Aadhaar. So there will not be any Benami accounts in bank. Then tax compliances. Today the tax authorities are very much vigilant because the whole system is online and people are having PAN cards. PAN card are also linked with Aadhaar card. If you are doing excessive transactions, suspicious transactions, at that time they are directly reported to the regulatory body, that is RBI, and the scam or fraud may be investigated in couple of minutes. Then FEMA, that is Foreign Exchange Management Act. Today no one can manipulate anything by using the foreign exchange or the black money because we are having the FEMA Act. Then audits are of internal audit, statutory audit, external audit, and these audits leads to know that if there is a scam or fraud in particular enterprise. Then we are having the compliance and regulatory bodies like SEBI, that is Securities Exchange Board of India, for monitoring the stock market and giving compliance to them. Then RBI, which is a central bank, that is regulatory body for all the banks in India, whether they are nationalized bank or private banks. Then IRDA, that is Insurance Regulatory Development Authority, to avoid the frauds and protecting the insured interest in the insurance sector. Then Food and Drug Administration, then Food Safety and Standard Authorities of India. All these are the bodies which are completely monitoring the compliances and are giving great edge to the Indian companies for providing quality stuff. So in this way, the risk management is done in India. I hope that this video have given you insights about how the risk management is carried out by the Indian companies and Indian government. Thank you.